All right, guys, we are back with another video. Right now, I'm going to be reading the complaint from Jane Doe versus Smokey Robinson. This complaint is very disturbing. I kind of breezed over it real fast while everything was loading up. But yeah, let's get into it. Let me make my screen larger. These guys in LA, in this music industry, oh gosh, they just think they can just control you. Okay, so here we go. This was filed in May of 2025. All right, and we have a bunch of complaints for damages, including negligence, sexual battery, assault, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, neglect, negligent inflictions of emotional distress, gender violence, the Ralph Act, the Bain Act, so on and so forth. Okay, so it's a bunch of complaints here. Failure to provide meals. What in the hell? Okay. All right. So plaintiffs are, and at all relevant times, mentioned individuals residing in the county of Los Angeles within the state of California. Okay. They are adult females suing under pseudonyms to protect their privacy. Because it involves sexual misconduct by defendant Smokey Robinson. Defendant Smokey Robinson is, and at all relevant times, mentioned an individual doing substantial business in LA, employed the plaintiffs in each of them, and caused injuries and damages to them. All right, got it. Okay, I'm jumping ahead to the factual allegations of Jane Doe 1. Okay. Plaintiff Jane Doe 1 re-alleges and incorporates by reference paragraphs 1 through 10. Okay, she began working for defendants as their housekeeper at their Chatworth residence on January 3rd until February 2024. Okay, so she worked there for 1 year and a month when she was forced to resign due to defendant Smokey Robinson's repeated sexual assaults and sexual harassment against her. The first sexual assault occurred in March. Okay, so she had only been working there for 2 months. And it continued until her forced resignation, in February 2024. Jane Doe 1 worked on the weekends for the defendants when the rest of the staff was off. Okay, hold on, let me go back because I didn't read the party information. I don't know who the defendants are. Okay, so we know defendant Smokey Robinson is one defendant. Does 125. Plaintiffs are informed and believe that each of the defendants sued as Doe's. Okay, so we don't know the name of the other defendant. All right. Okay, so the first sexual assault occurred in March 2023, and it continued until her forced resignation in February of 2024. Jane Doe 1 worked on the weekends for the defendants when the rest of the staff was off. On a typical Saturday, defendant Smokey Robinson would take Francis Robinson, got it, to the nail salon and would rush home knowing that he would be home alone with plaintiff Jane Doe 1. Upon returning home, defendant Smokey Robinson would call her into his blue bedroom, lock the door, and escort their dog, Shiloh, out of the room. He will have showered and clothed only in his underwear. He would then neatly place a white towel on his bed, not to soil the bed linen, in preparation for what was about to occur. Wow. Okay, so he had a master plan here. Defendant Smokey Robinson would then begin to kiss Jane Doe 1 in her mouth, yuck, neck, and breasts. Then he would roughly penetrate her vagina with his fingers. This man is like a million years old. This is so gross. Orally copulate her and proceed to, oh my God, penetrate her vagina with his erect penis, causing her great pain. Yuck. Defendant Smokey Robinson enjoyed ejaculating in her vagina, oh my God, without using a condom. Jane Doe 1 would protest and resist his sexual assaults, but to no avail. In a desperate attempt to get him to stop his sexual assault, she would proclaim, "You're married," to which he would casually ignore. Defendant Smokey Robinson sexually assaulted Jane Doe 1 in that manner at least 7 times. Oh, God. The last assault occurred on February 17th, 2024, prompting her forced resignation on February 24th, 2024. Jane Doe 1 was unwilling to report defendant Smokey Robinson's unlawful acts to the authorities due to her fear of losing her livelihood, familiar reprisal, public embarrassment, shame, and humiliation to her and her family. The possible adverse effect on her immigration status, oh my God, as well as being threatened and intimidated. He probably was holding that over her head. Oh man. By Smokey Robinson's well recognized celebrity status and his influential friends and associates. Defendant Francis Robinson failed to take the appropriate corrective action to prevent defendant Smokey Robinson's deviant misconduct against Jane Doe 1. Despite having full knowledge of his prior acts of sexual misconduct, having settled cases with other women that suffered and experienced similar sexual assaults perpetrated by him. Dang, Francis. Defendant Francis Robinson also perpetuated a hostile work environment by regularly screaming at Jane Doe 1 in a hostile manner, using ethnically pejorative words. And like, what'd she say? During Jane Doe 1's employment with the defendant, she worked 10 hours per day, 3 days per week, Saturday through Monday, at the rate of $18 per hour. They failed to pay minimum wage or pay overtime wage for the hours worked in excess of 8 hours, nor provided rest or lunch break. She would often work holidays for the defendants without being paid the holiday rate. Defendants also failed to provide Jane Doe 1 wage statements for the hours that she worked. Oh, so they nasty and cheap. Okay, plaintiff Jane Doe 2 realleges and incorporates by reference paragraphs 1 through 9 as set forth herein. Okay. Jane Doe 2 began working for defendants as a housekeeper at their Chatworth residence in or about May 2014 until February 2020. Oh, wow, she worked for a long time, 6 years. When she was forced to resign due to defendant Smokey Robinson's repeated sexual assaults and sexual harassment against her. Defendant Smokey Robinson's brutal sexual advances were constant and even predictable throughout her employment with defendants. Defendant Smokey Robinson's sexual assaults began in the latter part of 2016. Okay, so she worked there for about 2 years before it began. When they were home alone, he would text message her, asking her to meet him at areas in their Chatworth residence where closed circuit cameras weren't located. Oh, he would then summon her to either the laundry room or garage where there were no cameras. I don't know what difference it made because Francis knew what was going on. When arriving, he would immediately grab her and begin to penetrate her vagina with his fingers, causing her excruciating pain, and then he would proceed to rape her. Oh my gosh. Defendant Smokey Robinson also forced her into his blue bedroom and made her, I guess I meant, perform oral sex on his erect penis. Ugh, I could throw it in my mouth. It's so gross. Thereafter, he would proceed to forcibly penetrate her with his erect penis without using a condom. He would enjoy ejaculating all over Jane Doe 2's face, much to his satisfaction and her abject humiliation. Oh my God. Defendant, God. I don't know how much margarita it is. It's too much. Defendant, where was I lost my. Defendant Smokey Robinson sexually assaulted her in this manner on at least 23 different occasions. Defendant Smokey Robinson would threaten her that if she refused to have sex with him, he would make defendant Frances Robinson be mean to her, which she was very capable of being. Jane Doe, too, was unwilling to report defendant Smokey Robinson's unlawful acts to the authorities due to her fear of losing her livelihood, familial reprisal, public embarrassment, shame, and humiliation to her and her family. The possible adverse effect on her immigration status, as well as being threatened and intimidated by defendant Smokey Robinson's well-organized celebrity status and his influential friends and associates. Okay, so that was just copy and paste. Defendant Frances Robinson failed to take the appropriate corrective action to prevent Smokey Robinson's deviant misconduct against Jane Doe 2, despite having full knowledge of his prior acts of sexual conduct and having settled cases with other women. I wonder, I wonder how that will fare in court, including Frances in this suit. Frances Robinson has also perpetuated a hostile work environment by regularly screaming at Jane Doe 2 in a hostile manner and using ethnically pejorative words. Okay. Jane Doe 2 worked 10 hours per day, 6 days a week, at the rate of $10 per hour, increased to 12 in 2017. They failed to pay minimum or overtime, including those in excess of 8 hours, nor provided rest or lunch. She would often work for the defendants without being paid. So she worked she worked before, Jane Doe 1. And now we have Jane Doe 3, who seems to have worked when both Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2 worked. Okay, so she began working as a housekeeper at their house in their Chatworth residence from, February 2012 until April 2024, where she was forced to resign due to Smokey Robinson's repeated sexual assaults. So you have Jane Doe 2 first, and then Jane Doe 1, and Jane Doe 3 was there while both of them were there. So he's raping all of these women at the same time, well, within the same time frame. Wow. He repeatedly sexually harassed, sexually assaulted, and raped Jane Doe 3 during most of her entire employment. He would force her into his blue bedroom. That bedroom is just terrible, the blue bedroom, where after he would perform his ritual of exiting his bathroom nude or wearing only underwear after showering, and then carefully place a towel on his bed not to soil the linens for what was about to occur. He would then disrobe Jane Doe 3 and then orally copulate her. Then he would force her to lie face down on the towel so that he could penetrate her vagina with his erect penis from the rear. Yuck. Defendant Smokey Robinson repeatedly raped Jane Doe 3 in this manner at least 20 times. On one occasion, when Jane Doe 3 resisted his advances, Smokey Robinson offered Jane Doe 3 $500 to allow him to orally copulate her, an offer she refused. When not attempting to penetrate her vagina, Smokey Robinson would make unwanted advances against her, touching her breast, vagina, and kissing her on her neck and her mouth. Oh, God. Jane Doe 3 resigned her position April 2024 due to Smokey. Come on. Due to Smokey. Okay. She was unwilling to report Smokey Robinson's unlawful acts to the authorities due to her fear of losing her livelihood. Okay, so all of them are the same, and they all seem to have a questionable immigration status, which is very scary for them if they were to speak out and be deported. Oh, God, there's Jane Doe 4. Oh, my God, Jane Doe 4. was working. Okay, so she began working for defendants as a housekeeper at their house, at their Chatworth residence, including being defendant Frances Robinson's personal assistant, okay, cook, and hairdresser. When she was forced to resign due to Smokey Robinson's repeated sexual assaults. Since they're putting Frances in here, I wonder if they're going to question Frances during the trial to be like, why did you think that all of these ladies were quitting? Like, people just kept quitting. You kept hiring someone else to fulfill the exact same role. Why were they quitting? Do you have any inkling? Did you have some sort of, I don't know, anything, intuition or belief? Did you see anything? Did you hear anything of why these ladies would be quitting? I wonder what she will say. He first sexually assaulted her in 2007 when she accompanied him to his Las Vegas home. While there and alone with him, defendant Smokey Robinson forced her into his bedroom and raped her. The sexual assaults continued there and other places. About mid-2019, Jane Doe 4 was asked by defendant to accompany him to his residence in Bell Canyon. While cleaning the master bedroom, defendant Smokey Robinson showered and returned to his bedroom naked with erect penis. He then proceeded to pull back the sheets and carefully place a towel not to soil the bed linens for what was going to occur. He then began to kiss her breast, neck, and proceeded to orally copulate her in the rib. He does the same thing with each one of them. He does the same thing. He would often create a situation or seize the opportunity where he would be alone with Jane Doe 4 at the Chatworth residence. When the other housekeepers would leave the residence, defendant Smokey Robinson would summon her to his blue bedroom, here we go, while sitting naked on his bed. He would then lock the door and place a towel on the bed. After doing so, he would pull Jane Doe 4's clothes off and against her protestations, push her down on the bed and proceed to rape her. He never used a condom during the sexual assault, ejaculating into Jane Doe's vagina or withdrawing and ejaculating all over her body, much to his satisfaction and her humiliation. Oh my God. He would also constantly admire and touch her breast, kiss her neck, and force his tongue into her mouth. So disgusting. His sexual harassment and assaults continue to the very day she decided to resign. Jane Doe 4 was unwilling to report for all of the same reasons it seems. And it doesn't say anything about her immigration status, though, so she may have citizenship. Wow. I was not expecting to read that. Wow. Okay, so you have going through all of the causes. I may have to take a break because that was a lot. But once again, just like Diddy, just like so many other men in the industry, taking advantage of people over and over and over and over and over. And it seems like time's up. It seems like now they're being called out, and even though these women, or three of them, have questionable citizenship statuses, they are still speaking up and they still have the courage to speak up. So, I hope that the Robinsons, it seems like Frances is very mean. So my hope is that she does not retaliate, which would, cause a lot of harm to them, and she may try to get them deported. So I'm gonna stay updated on the case. Like I said, it was filed in May, and I don't believe the trial has occurred yet. But yeah, let's stay on this particular case. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. Oh, I'm sure he has messaged me because he's very annoying. There we go. Almost ready. Okay. 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 Mwah.